for giving the rules earlier. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
20-fight comeback. And there's the big left hook by Jerry Cooney.
Not landing that time. Obviously, that cross-arm defense is a trademark of George's trainer, 76-year-old Archie Moer, one of the all-time cliche, but really one of the all-time boxing greats.
And of course, that crossed arm, George used it effectively, fighting the much shorter opponents that he's faced up to now.
Jerry trying to dig for the first time, the left hook to the body. That really is his best punch.
Touched the key word there, Alex. Balance, something that Gil Clancy has said that he really wanted to work on with Jerry Cooney. Oh, there's a left from George Foreman. Good left to the body by Cooney, and then he came upstairs, and George said, I'm not going to waste the energy walking all the way over to that corner.
That replacing the mouthpiece, a new rule. Ordinarily, the fighter would have to fight without the mouthpiece for the remainder of the round.
Oh, there's that jab of Foreman again getting in.
George, we have to say right here, and not just in contrast to Jerry Cooney, George is a little bit quicker than he has been in his 19 fights of his comeback. That wild amateurish Foreman right to the body. He threw that punch when he was a world champion.
When you look at, and there's a couple left and a right to the body, and that's really a trademark of Foreman's punches, Alex.
You could almost see Jerry Cooney thinking there a moment ago, damn, he was along the ropes. Wait a minute, I am not supposed to be on the ropes. Let me get out of here, and he did. Before Foreman was able to take advantage of it. But again, Jerry in a corner. And that time, Jerry got a little left hook in, and he wobbled Big George. Later in the round, watch the inside left hook by Cooney. Not there. Not there, but there. And that punch moved George Foreman.
The final 10 seconds of the first round. There was a big right to the ribs by George. Well, George has appeared to be bored through these past 19 prior fights.
Not in this one.
There's a good left counter by Cooney.
Came in here with a much more serious look than he's had in any of his previous 19 fights of his comeback. And he better be serious because he's got millions and millions of dollars at stake here.
Well, they both do.
George didn't need this fight to fight Tyson. He was going to get that Tyson fight, amazingly enough. He was going to get it anyway. He's risking everything.
Oh, and there's a good right lead by George Foreman. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it definitely scores.
Ooh.
Oh, and another right by Foreman. And Jerry Cooney has his left hanging a little low.
Pressure on Cooney, backing him around the ring just by walking in. Jerry so far has not chosen to stand his ground and trade punches. He's been fighting in spurts. There, standing his ground, punching, and then trying to move out of the way. Obviously,
and there is the big roundhouse left, the trademark punch of George Foreman. Ooh, and that blow by Cooney went undetected by Joe Cortez. At the left, come up and slice the one, and Jerry Cooney's in big trouble. He's ready to go, and there he goes.
2, 3. First knockdown. Watch the inside right hand. Foreman again walking to Cooney. I'm sorry, left got him in trouble. It was a left hand inside that first got him in trouble. And then George didn't waste any punches. Very accurate. 3 punches, they all landed, and they all kept Cooney in trouble. And then a swinging right hand and him helpless and down. George Foreman did not miss one punch once he had his man hurt.
But it was the left that sliced between the gloves of Jerry Cooney. There it is right there. You saw it lift the chin. And now it's just target practice. And Jerry Cooney really showing a lot of will just staying on his feet. He's out on his feet.
And let me say something about Jerry Cooney. In the Holmes fight and the Spinks fight, when he was hurt that way, when his legs buckled. Now let's see if he's learned anything about how to survive, because he's got 1 minute and 8 seconds left. Oh, and that's it.
And I don't think this fight's over. This fight's over. George Foreman blows away Jerry Cooney in the second round. This is the result. This is the finish of the fight, and Jerry Cooney really, for all intents and purposes, the left uppercut, there's the right, it's all over.
You know, George Foreman throws a lot of unorthodox punches. That time he threw an uppercut, he got out over his lead foot, and he threw a perfect uppercut. Well, walking in with it.
Yeah, keep in mind, Alex, it's against a man who's really out on his feet. I mean, Jerry Cooney showed a lot of gameness and just trying to continue. Again, George comes in for the kill.
But the thing I was impressed about, Dan, was the accuracy of Foreman.
And Jerry Cooney goes down hard.
And right behind it. Boom.
And you really have to wonder if the strategy.
The 3 knockdown rule is in effect in the state of Nevada. A fighter must get up following a low blow or he may be counted out. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell. There's a mandatory 8 count following knockdowns. We're underway. Big George Foreman in the blue trunks with the red and white trim. Edilson Rodriguez from Sao Paulo, Brazil. He is probably the biggest hero in Brazil since Pele, the soccer star down there. Big George with that jab. Look at those big, strong biceps of George Foreman. This telecast of the Don King Sports and Entertainment Network going all over the world. And a special hello to Chris Myrams and Clint Brown, TV3 in Auckland, New Zealand, who are joining us for all of our fights involving Mike Tyson coming up. And we're real proud that television down in New Zealand has taken such an interest in boxing. And great to have Chris and Clint Brown along with us in this telecast and all our friends across Australia and, of course, New Zealand. Round 1, both fighters kind of feeling each other out. Big George covers himself up and lets Edilson Rodriguez pound to the body. George's straight left hand, he's so strong that his straight left hand is not a jab, it's a real heavy punch. It always was in his career, especially in the early side. And he sets up the big right hand off of that straight left hand. You see George trying to get it through, and Rodriguez doing a nice job of staying away from him right now. George, a prohibitive favorite in the fight. This betting area, you had to bet something like $900 to win 100 on George Foreman if you wanted to bet on George here. That was a big heavy jab to the bounce the head back of Edilson Rodriguez. Rodriguez came back and started throwing some punches at George, but George seemingly not affected by the punches of Edilson Rodriguez. George not breathing real heavy here in the first round. Of course, George in his entire career has had the record where first, second, third, fourth round knockouts were his style, even in the early going. And since his comeback, most of them come early. And Rodriguez is a world-class fighter, and something different. The right hand gets through. The first big right hand that George has thrown, it didn't do too much damage to Edilson Rodriguez. But those left jabs, as we call them, but there's really like a straight left hand because they bounce the head back of Rodriguez. George, very powerful guy and very dangerous. Everyone over 40 something is rooting for George Foreman, with the exception of South America. I know you people down there love your man, Edilson Rodriguez. Edilson probably mixed it up with George more in the first round than Angelo Dundee would have wanted him to do. But you know, when you coach a guy in between rounds, as you mix it up and the actual fighters get combative in the center of the ring, George getting a little cute on his feet and the crowd reacts to it. Never takes a punch real flush. Even in the big loss to Muhammad Ali in '74, if you have had an opportunity to see that fight recently, you remember George tumbling like a wounded bull in the center of the ring, and Ali never really throwing the big heavy punch that could have flattened him. There's 2 heavy punches thrown to the body of Rodriguez. 263 pounds. It may weigh as much as 275 today. The weigh-in was yesterday. There's so much power behind it. Those arms on George are like tree trunks. Of course, that has the biggest thing to do with the downside of George's career. When you see great big guys like this, real heavy arms get fatigued as the fight progresses. And again, in the comeback road, it's interesting to note that George has only had to go 10 rounds one time, and that was against Everett Martin in Tucson, Arizona in July of '89. And in that fight, he won that on a decision. Fighting twice in '90, in January and April, winning both. One with a second round knockout and one with a fourth round knockout. So Rodriguez coming inside more than Dundee would want. He's open. There's a shot. A left hook catches him, and down goes Rodriguez. It looked almost like a grazing shot. It counts up to 5 and 6 and 7. He's not going to make it. It's 8, 9, and 10. It's all over. A second round knockout for George Foreman. Misses the right. Now watch the left hook. Here it comes. Bang, right there. And again, it didn't look like it caught him that flush, but George is so big and so strong.
The winner by a knockout, the former heavyweight champion of the world, George Foreman.
In case of a knockdown, we'll go to furthest neutral corner. When I say break, I want you to step back and I want you to break clean. Is that clear? Keep your guard up at all times. Shake hands. Thank you.
Now 42 years old, 3 years in the comeback. He has accomplished what he set out to do. He's had little resistance so far from the opposition he has handpicked. And tonight he is facing an opponent. If George, when he was coming back, would, and right off the bat, Lakusta wobbled. This is the typical opponent George Foreman would picture in his comeback. And the kind of opponent he fought essentially.
And throw those big, sweeping, slow, heavy-handed punches. What he does not want to face is the Muhammad Alis of the world.
Even though he's at 261.5, one of the highest in his comeback, feels if he wasn't working out and fighting, he could balloon 280, 290, 300 pounds. May as well go bigger is better. And he comes in at 261.5.
He wants to be a big, big heavyweight, heavy, and he is. The reason he's fighting so much is for those after-fight parties, the post-fight cheeseburgers that he gets to eat. If he didn't fight, he wouldn't be able to have those.
George Foreman, who started this comeback, it's a big joke to many. He's getting about $25,000 a fight, more of exhibitions and sideshows. He made $1.5 million against Cooney.
Now here's where Foreman is turning up the heat.
Yep.
Lakusta came out and he tried to get the control of this fight.
Michael Dokes and Razor Ruddock, he went the distance with Burbick, stopped by the other three. He has actually faced better fighters than George has during George's comeback.
The light heavyweight
speed.
There's
George turning it on in the corner. Lakusta.
Right now, Ken is trying to use his light heavyweight speed, trying to move around Foreman. But it's just a matter of time. Target practice for George. Turned up the intensity this round.
And then, for instance, in the Cooney fight, where it really picked up the intensity and the combinations, and he has picked it up early in this one. Again, 35-year-old out of Edmonton.
Right now, Al, George is having trouble finding the mark. He's a little bit off in this fight, not able to hit the button. He should have Lakusta out of there.
Against Foreman, figure they may be able to move and stay away. But eventually, Foreman has found everybody. It's taken 13 years before Canada is ready for George Foreman again. Going to the body of Ken Lakusta. Matter of fact, that exhibition, and there goes Lakusta here in the third.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Struggling to get to his feet.
He's not going to get up. He made it.
Getting up. Oh, big right by Lakusta off the knockdown. Shakes up Foreman. Foreman walked right into it. And the crowd going wild. Foreman now will intensify his effort. As Foreman said before, you can take no one for granted. And there goes Lakusta down for the second time. The crowd urging him to get up again. 3 knockdown rule in effect. Will he make it? No! It is over. Lakusta goes out with a bang.
The winner by knockout at 124 of the third round, the Punchin' Preacher, George Foreman.
We got smoke to both fighters in the dressing room. I'm crushing it again. Obey my commands at all times. Shake hands and good luck.
The Reno Sparks Convention Center in Reno, Nevada. And here we go. One other, 20-1 in favor of George Foreman. Jimmy Ellis coming out of George, throwing straight rights and left jabs to the body. He's coming out, Dave. George throws a big left, a hard left to the body of Jimmy Ellis. Corner. George is in the orange and purple. Jimmy Ellis in the black and the blue. Jimmy throws a wild left. Most of it is arm. There's a left to the head of George Foreman as he covers. A left jab to the face of Jimmy Ellis by George Foreman. George throws another left and another left. Jimmy Ellis, he tries to get through the body of George Foreman, connects with a right to the head. There's a left to the head of George Foreman, another right to the body. George Foreman said just yesterday that these are dangerous fighters because they have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hands up, George!
There's a left by Jimmy Ellis and glances to the head of George Foreman. George counters with a left. There's another left. Another left to the face. He tries for that right. His arms are massive. The power behind those punches, incredible. Jimmy Ellis beginning to show red in the face and blood on the bridge of his nose. Ellis comes out of the camp of 10 Goose Boxing as George Foreman weighs in with left-right combinations to the face of Jimmy Ellis. There's a left and another left and a right that connects to Jimmy Ellis. Foreman seemingly connecting at will to the face of Jimmy Ellis as we come to the end of round number 1. Yes, George Foreman is a massive target, but he does not give it up easy as he connects with the left jab to the... There's a left to the body of Ellis. You know that's got to hurt. George Foreman weighing in at 257 pounds. Both men exchanging, and that looks like it sent Jimmy Ellis into a land that he didn't want to go so early. Sensing the kill, George Foreman moves in. Jimmy Ellis tries to cover. There's a left off the head of Jimmy Ellis, whose legs begin to buckle. Foreman knows he has Jimmy Ellis where he wants him. It's now a matter of time. As Foreman sets his man, Steele looking into his eyes. There's a left uppercut as Foreman moves away. There's another left that staggers Ellis. Ellis is out on his feet as he holds on to George Foreman. They're above us right now. There is a right to the chin of Jimmy Ellis, yet he is game. He still stands on. There's another combination that sends him reeling against the ropes. There's a left to the head, a right to the head, and Richard between them, but only briefly. Foreman throws a left-right combination again. I do not think that this is going to go much longer into this round. Ellis is game. He throws a right to the chin of George Foreman. He's coming after George. To the chin. There's a left that misses, a left that hits him in the face. Ellis counters, but those left rights of George Foreman get through, and there's a lot to get through. There's a left flush on the face of Jimmy Ellis. Foreman throws a left right again. Ellis counters, but he is... A right uppercut by George that misses. There's a left uppercut. There's a left to the head of Ellis. Another left. Left and right combination, that overhand right going to the head of Jimmy Ellis. Ellis trying to hold on. Jimmy Ellis' face is beat red as Foreman continues his left jab, right cross onslaught. Foreman looking to measure his man. There's a left to the face of Jimmy Ellis. And Richard Steele stops the bout. And at that particular point, there was very much in George Foreman's favor and very little left of Jimmy Ellis. Now that left was the most telling blow of the round. That set.
Okay, I spoke to both fighters in the dressing room. I expect you to obey my commands at all times. Shake hands, good luck.
Fighters have said you'll go numb. Here we go, round 1. George Foreman, Alex Stewart. From the Thomas and Maxim. Foreman at times will look awkward. But his effectiveness with punching power is never in question. To Tyson Holyfield and Michael Moer. Moer his last fight. Earlier this week, Stewart takes a couple of jabs. Little kid. By 18. So Stewart's not going to have anywhere to run and hide. George doesn't chase guys, he stalks them. Not like he has much of an option very quickly. Foreman doesn't waste many punches. Throws them when he needs to. Stewart was knocked out 3 times by Tyson in the first and looked terrified as he entered the ring. Losing confidence. Good right by Stewart. Stewart not moving as much as I thought he'd move. And a good left and right by Foreman to end the round. Nice left by Stewart. Cozy confines, big uppercut. And down goes Stewart. This is the first knockdown. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect, so Stewart when Stewart went down, he looked directly into George's eyes, and Stewart takes another punch and dishes one out. George Foreman, quite possibly the most popular fighter in the world. Stewart is leveled. That round. This is a great punch. That is going to knock any heavyweight in the world down. He's already gone down twice. Two rights that have knocked Stewart down. That time Stewart landed. Foreman is hurt. A right and a left. Fight where both men were hurt in the same round often. Stewart not moving as much as we thought he would. Four fights were won by KO. In fact, 7 of his first 15 were over by the first round, so Stewart dishes it out too. Stewart did score in that round. Stewart said all week, he said, he'll try to knock me out early. I'm going to try to make him tired. It's an indication he'd like it to go a little longer than usual. Good left, 2 of them by Stewart. those before the fight who questioned if Stewart could knock out George Foreman.
Keep him up, Ellis. Keep him up.
Stewart's only had 2 fights go past the 5th. So we're treading into an area that Stewart's not that familiar with, and Foreman got hurt. Dundee telling him to use the jab, and George listened. Again, it's the confidence thing. Telling Stewart,
Beautiful jab, George.
received far less acclaim. Foreman is bruised under his left eye. And tired. The 4th round is nearly over. And Stewart won this round. Stewart remaining active. You can see Stewart. He is blocking his face at all times. Foreman doesn't really worry about that. Usually great jabbers don't. I think a lot of people thought Foreman would take care of it early. A left by Stewart and a right. Again, we question how much Stewart can hurt Foreman. Is this the last hurrah for George? If he loses. Oh, a big right. At this stage of the fight, his eyes were in worse shape than they were for Holyfield. Stewart wobbled. Alex Stewart, rated 13th by the WBC from New York City, and Foreman from Houston, Texas, and landed roughly the same amount. With the eye trouble, Foreman, who just takes 2 big lefts, keeps Stewart at bay. Keep him away from those tender eyes. I just don't know how many times Foreman wants to take this kind of beating. Foreman needs a knockout. Foreman's entire face looks puffy. Again, remember, Foreman can knock down Stewart a lot easier than Stewart. If he stays on his feet, it's another round to Stewart. Senses Stewart leading by possibly a round, maybe 2. At this point, it is not early. I don't think there's any question he'll retire. Weekend heavyweight division. Stewart looking to Richard Steele after the low blow. And that will take the legs out of any fighter. George looking a little more alive for a moment. Just like Holyfield, as the fight goes on, and is winning. When Stewart just can't make a silly mistake. That hurt George. Because there is some question in that department. George lands a good punch, and Stewart comes right back. You could see that thing coming from Phoenix. Stewart trying to end the night. Money off this fight if it ends now. Good strategy versus George. All it takes is a jab. Stewart in a little bit of trouble. You can't let Foreman hang out in the corner. An uppercut. And Stewart's right foot drags on the canvas. He's in big trouble. Big George is close to knocking him out. Fueled by the crowd. Well, pick your highlights. There's a lot of them. That was the uppercut that buckled Stewart's right leg. He was dragging it at this point. Big break for Stewart. A left by Foreman. Ooh, that right buckled George. And that one did too. If Stewart survives this round, and he does, it doesn't mean George has either been down or a winner. You know who the fans are voting for. Big jabs by Stewart. Ooh, one of Stewart's better punches tonight. He fought better fighters as he trained. Look at George. Peering into the eyes of Foreman. Oh, that's a brutal right and a brutal uppercut. Best punch of the night by Alex. And now Stewart's got a horrible gash over his right eye. The fight is over. Excuse me, this round is over. George was bleeding so profusely early in the round. He came on later to hurt Stewart. And by the end of the round, Stewart was bleeding just as badly as George. That's a nice right by Alex. Good left by Alex. And the blood comes rushing out of Foreman's nose again. A low blow by George. It took him a while to respond to Steele. Oh, a left to the nose of Foreman. less than 30 in the fight. Great fight.
94-93 for the winner on a majority decision, Big George Foreman.
Okay, I spoke to both of you fighters in your dressing room. I want to remind you again to obey my commands at all times. Is there any questions? Shake hands, good luck.
10 pounds later and 70 pounds lighter comes George into this fight. Round one.
Comeback in boxing has gotten him back down to a reasonable weight.
Sekorski looking more like a light heavyweight.
George Foreman was never a classic boxer, obviously. He always relied on his power.
Even in his prime, Sekorski feels that the power is gone from that punch down. He just ducked down and lost his balance there. It's a good stiff jab flat in the face from Foreman. Halfway through the first round. And George certainly not embarrassing himself at this stage.
He's not doing much one way or the other so far, though.
No, just hanging in there, showing the jab now and then. A short chopping right. There's the jab again, the left hand. Sekorski trying to get inside and having a devil of a time doing it. Does connect with the uppercut with a minute to go in the round.
Possibly questionable what that proves, though.
What could he do with George Foreman?
I'll tell you, Rocky Sekorski's winning round one. You can decide what that's worth, but he's winning it. So far, George Foreman lands a big jab. He does not look like $1 million bucks. Right now, what's not impressive about Foreman, and of course it could end with one punch, he's got that power though, is that he's not, except for the jab, which we just saw, the other punches he's throwing are not thrown very well. Eddie Futch said when Sekorski worked with Larry Holmes in sparring with him, that was one of the things that they liked about him. He helped Larry get ready for that kind of style. But Foreman's landing some heavy punches.
Big left.
I'll tell you, though, those kind of punches, I believe, right now, had better knock Rocky Sekorski out in the first 5 rounds.
George has finished his opponent as early as 3 rounds. It's taken him as long as 6. He had a couple of 4-round knockouts along the way.
And really, in all truth, Tim Anderson, Bobby Crabtree, Charles Hostetter, and Steve Zalski are not good opponents. A regrettable incident all the way around. Good hook by Zalski.
Snapping left hook land. His change. He's not here to point Rocky Sekorski. And he inflicts some punishment here. Some hip shots he's getting through. Round 2 coming to a close. In the last 30 seconds, have seen some big blows from Foreman. They continue.
He was right in front of them, which is what his cornermen are telling him not to do.
George easily penetrating Rocky's defense there. Virtually no defense, and now Rocky should capitalize on that. So all well enough said, but can it get done? How do you see the scoring so far? Got a long way to go from what I've seen so far before that's going to ever happen. Again, the power is there, that snapping jab, and he's just going to try to bang this man in submission.
And the jab is one thing, as we said earlier, that George Foreman has a good one.
Jab for a man that big.
It is quick. That's the one punch that is quick. Oh, right hand, that may have stunned George Foreman.
Stopped him in his tracks a little bit. He did stagger with a knee.
Rocky is a very wide puncher. He loses a lot of power because of the way he punches, and also he's going after a big man. That left hook may have stunned Sekorski.
It didn't get all of them, but it got enough, and he is in trouble against the ropes. He's taking all kinds of shots with both hands from Foreman now.
Trying to hold on.
Oh, goodness, if that left had connected full force, he'd be out of here by now, and he may be very soon. Foreman is closing in on the end of this bout as he drives Sekorski across the ring. A minute to go.
For him to buy time here is not going to be that easy.
Well, he is very wobbly, and the punishment continues. That jab flush in the face time and time again. The chopping right hands, now the hooks. Foreman just teeing off on Sekorski. And Rocky somehow stays there and comes back for more.
Part of the interest and allure here is that even though Sekorski hasn't fought the top of the heavyweight division, he's not been knocked out. So part of Foreman's mission here, whatever you think of what he's doing, was to get a knockout. That was important. And my goodness.
Look at his head snapping back. He reminds me of Randy Tex Cobb, the way he can take punches, but he's taking a terrible beating in the process. This is brutal. It is over. Richard Steele's had enough, and frankly, so have I.
Well, and Rocky Sekorski does not complain. He stayed on his feet, but took fantastic punishment.
And here is what finally convinced Steele to call this a night.
Now there, those punches delivered in a better fashion. The jab and the straight right hand, and you'll see a left hook.
Oh.
That's not the real bad one, but I'll tell you, there's one coming up here. Yeah, now.
Well, he did remind me of Randy Tex Cobb, the way he took abuse from George Foreman.
There's George Foreman, and while he is a hefty guy, I'll tell you, he's a lot less than he was a year ago when he weighed maybe 300 pounds. Here comes Guido Trane. Oh my, look at the difference in size.
And it's got to be scary for Trane when he looks across the ring, which is not that big. I mean, it's a 20 by 20 normal size ring. To see a big guy like George Foreman, it's got to look like he's 2 feet in front of you.
The jab of Foreman, well, he can land it just whenever he wants in this fight. He's got a good jab. And even at the age of 39, pushing 40, he has a good jab. We saw it against Sekorski. It doesn't look right now like Foreman's having trouble hitting Guido Trane. We have not seen Trane fight before. No one has really in the United States. He's 13-6. He has the Italian heavyweight championship. But in all candor, that's not a major title to win.
That 10 cents will get him a cup of coffee down in the coffee.
Right, I mean, which is true, basically, you know, however cynically you want to put it. But Guido Trane is showing us nothing right now. Foreman just peppering him with jabs. In the audience, Anders Eklund, who, interestingly, Trane had a draw with.
He's already bleeding from the nose from the jabs of George Foreman.
Now there's what Trane might, if he could do anything there in the inside, throw the hook to the body and the head.
Exactly. Stay close to the body. It's the closest thing to you.
Foreman just pushing him off so easily. Inside is where Trane wants to be. Ludicrous ease with which Foreman's pushing him around.
Those are jolting jabs, boy.
Now there's what Trane needs to do. Now I'll tell you, as bad as he's been beaten up here in this first round, when he gets there, he can land punches.
That's it.
And I'll tell you, when people look at that, that's when they're cynical about Foreman, because he can be hit. Rocky Sekorski hit him, but Trane's just not throwing. Certainly George Foreman winning the first round, but at least Guido Trane made it interesting for about 30 seconds. Good hook by Trane. Trane staying on the outside, which, as we've said, is not the best posture for him. Every time he throws the right hand, Trane, the left hook comes underneath by George Foreman. Power stays there with the older heavyweights. It's the speed that's a problem.
Well, that's what they say, exactly. When you get older, you lose your reflexes, you lose your speed, but you never lose that power. Puncher's always a puncher.
Right hand got in by Trane. I don't know if you look at it and you say George Foreman is obviously just biding his time, which he is. But even at that, Trane's able to get a shot in occasionally. And the way to judge what that big right by Trane. Yeah, that one got right there. I don't know if it did any damage to Foreman.
Oh, left hook to the body. I'm just talking strictly style-wise. Forget age and everything else. That style-wise, maybe he could stand a chance. I'm not talking next fight, obviously. Right. I'm talking somewhere down the road.
Right now, I just think the speed of Tyson would be way too much for him.
Obviously.
But what you're saying is the case, or at least if you look at it, that's what gives George Foreman the hope to keep this going.
Right. And I don't foresee him fighting anybody who's going to move on him much. Obviously, because he wants to fight Mike Tyson, who isn't a mover. And obviously, because those type of guys give him problems.
Mills Lane pulling Trane's trunks up.
You know, beginning of the fight, you asked me, what is the signs you look at for a fighter to see how far he has to come back?
And, yeah, there's a little difference in that. 91% knockout ratio. That's outrageous. And remember, some of that, while a lot of it's been fashioned against not very good fighters recently, in the old days, George Foreman was young and fighting some tough dudes. He was knocking them all out. He's putting some jabs together now, Foreman is.
It almost seems like George is just wants to get a workout, and then sooner or later, after maybe 4 or 5 rounds, he's going to go to work. I don't know if that's the case, but...
Now, see, it is interesting, though. Trane, when he uses some head movement and steps in close, other than the uppercut, he can do some work. There's the uppercut. I talked about that and the keys to victory. It's like a gym workout for George Foreman right now. It's like a heavy bag.
Heavy bag, right.
being sent back to Italy. There's a left hook by Trane. And right now, Guido can't like what they're seeing. He got a right-handed, and boy, Foreman doesn't even move. George, of course, a devoutly religious man, was an evangelist, preacher in his years away from boxing. And right now, he is wailing away on Guido Trane, though he is quick to say, and one of his great quotes is, "I never throw a punch in anger." Right now, he's throwing some good ones. Left hook by Trane. He lands a right hand. Trane getting very bold here. He is landing to the head of George Foreman. Interesting. He's on the end of that jab, though. Trane is hopelessly in trouble. Gone a few rounds longer than some people thought it would go.
Not everybody. There's a few people here who thought that Trane...
We're into the fourth round. Guido Trane, the 29-year-old from Italy. There it is, right there. Didn't land flush.
Oh, that one did. Now George looks a little bit mad.
Punch in anger, perhaps. Oh, left hook by Trane again.
L, just boom, right hand shot. George can't walk into too many of those. I think that George has a... You know, obviously he's not taking this guy too serious because he's standing there getting hit with a few shots and trying to push him off, not firing back.
Things like cuts, for instance. The right hand by Trane gets in. Well, for those that aren't impressed with Foreman coming back at 39, the one thing they would point to, and it was true in the Sekorski fight, is that you can't hit him. And what happens if a real good fighter is going to be hitting him regularly?
What I thought was very funny, or not funny so much as interesting, is what Larry Holmes said after his fight with Mike Tyson. He said, anybody could beat this kid would be George, because the style was.
Whatever, Guido Trane, I don't know, but that he might not be making this a fairly close fourth round. I'm not sure I'd have him winning it, but he's landed 6 or 7 real good shots. The uppercut, though, really started to take its toll against him. Guido Trane is giving it a game effort right now. Not much we can say. Round 5, Al Bernstein along with Ray Boom Boom Mancini at a sold-out Caesars Palace. George Foreman against Guido Trane, getting ready to do another fight. And we say hi to you, Don.
Yeah, we miss you, Don.
Well, we'll see him back here probably next week. And let's take a look at your scoring, Ray.
I haven't, obviously, all 4 rounds for George Foreman, 40-36. But you know, Al, when you were showing the film clip of Trane hitting George Foreman, as we were showing that, there's a couple guys here at ringside, Tony, Rome, and Angelo, who are fans. I'm looking at these guys and they keep saying, see, telling me, pointing to me, see, I told you. I don't understand what they're watching, but they think Trane has a good shot.
Well, if you keep landing right hands like that, I guess they feel somehow it's going to make some impact for Guido Trane. He is landing shots, and there's a hook against Foreman. I think that left hook he just landed got George's attention.
Something better because he slipped off it.
Well, now he lands a big right. There's a lot of blood from the nose of Guido Trane. Guido Trane, say what you will, right now he has landed shots against George Foreman. And if you're looking at this, trying to put it in perspective, I tell you, there's a right hand. You've got to start asking yourself, what if this wasn't Guido Trane? What if this was Pinklon Thomas or Tim Witherspoon or Carl Williams or any of these guys? What would they be doing?
You got to fight up here Tony Tubbs watching this fight.
That's right.
I'm sorry, Tony Tucker.
Well, if Tony Tucker had been hitting with those shots, it could have been a problem. In any case, right now, it's Guido Trane trying his best and working the body and working the head of George Foreman. Guido Trane here in the 5th round has definitely done some work. Now he's going down to the body. What will this do to George Foreman? I'll tell you, he may be heartened by some of the things he's been able to do in this round. His nose is bleeding a lot. Whether it's broken or not remains to be seen. He's winging punches, Guido Trane.
See, this makes it interesting.
Well, now Foreman hurt him with that right hand. Foreman looking to the referee like he wants the fight stop. What's this? What's this?
That's just blood spattered, Al. I think that they cleaned it up.
The timing was strange. I guess Will Lane thought there was a reason to bring him over, but why right after Foreman had appealed to him? This is a little weird, folks. This is a little weird. George Foreman is declared the winner.
Referee Mills Lane stops the bout at 2 minutes, 39 seconds of the 5th round. The winner by a TKO, George Foreman.
Foreman in his other efforts has won every time out. Depending on your outlook, it's a good idea for him to be back or it's a bad idea. And there's an overhand right by Cowie. He saw the Guido Trane fight, and I'll tell you, Guido Trane was able to land all kinds of punches on George Foreman.
And Cowie landed a good overhand right, shook George a little bit just to start things off. But there he goes pushing him, just as I predicted.
And Padilla gives him a warning. Now, Padilla is a referee who usually has kind of a hands-off policy about things.
Let's stand. I don't know why George isn't working that left jab. He's allowing Cowie to take liberties.
Cowie, who is thick around the middle, make no question about that, able to pretty much walk in.
I don't understand Foreman's strategy at all, Al. He should be keeping this little guy away from him. Just keep snapping that great jab that he has in his face.
There it is. And of course, the uppercut you would expect to see from George Foreman. Foreman looks like he's kind of toying with Braxton, or with Cowie. And there's the jab from Foreman.
No, he's not snapping that jab, Al.
Good right by Cowie. Well, I did the fight in which Guido Trane, who was knocked out by Foreman, fought him. And Trane, who is nowhere near what Cowie is, was able to bounce lefts and rights off the head of Foreman. So
George has to keep it out there with that left jab. If he starts to stay inside, he can get himself in a lot of trouble.
The jab and the uppercut, his two most important weapons. He just missed with them there.
You know, you mentioned the fact that the Cowie is thick around the middle. Actually, he's got no body to hit.
That's true.
And his trunks are up around his chest.
So anything Foreman throws to the body will be a low blow.
George is allowing Cowie to take too many liberties.
Cowie can hit him with the overhand right. It looks like just about any time.
I don't think he doesn't have a good left hook behind that right hand.
Foreman lands the hook. I think the key question, Gil, is what will happen to Cowie when Foreman lands something, if he lands something big. Look at the jab of Cowie.
I've seen many a short guy out-jab these big, tall guys. He can come in behind the other guy's jab.
Dwight Cowie having himself a fine first round. Holding his hand out to keep Foreman at bay. And George Foreman looks ponderous and slow right now, and he's taking right hands to the head. And that one shook him. Body shot by Foreman.
Two good body shots, Al.
It's not the same very busy Cowie that we saw as a cruiserweight and a light heavyweight, but he's landing. There's the right and the left by Foreman. Hey, guess what? It didn't knock Cowie down. He has won all his fights in this comeback effort. In truth, it hasn't been a glittering group that he's beaten, but he's won them all. He won them all by knockout.
The thing with George Foreman in this fight is he's not snapping that jab. He's trying to think a little too much. And Cowie's giving him a lot of head motion.
Now the question, it may seem early to talk about stamina, but it isn't, because you saw Cowie in training get tired very quickly.
Well, he's carrying all that extra weight. And I saw him box 12 straight minutes in the gym without a rest, which I also disagree with. But they have him doing it.
Well, at least it shows he can do it. Uh-oh. In the old days, the Dwight Muhammad Cowie that was so skilled as a light heavyweight and a cruiserweight would probably not be hit with those. He was very tough to hit. Right now, he's getting nailed by Foreman. And it's taking its toll, I would think. Well, he's standing in there with him. After a good first round, Cowie has been nailed with some big right hands. Lands his own hook against Foreman. A much slower Dwight Muhammad Cowie, but it's a pretty slow Foreman as well. There's the jab by Foreman.
That's what he should be using. Good left hook by Coovie. And another good left hook. Foreman pushes him off on a right hand and another right hand. A little action from that last round. Here's George very lazy with a jab, and he gets countered by a left hook.
In a round.
And another left hook.
George Foreman felt those punches. He is getting nailed with some big shots now by Coovie. And Coovie with the jab that lands.
And Coovie is talking to him.
Coovie was hurt earlier, now he's back against the ropes. A Coovie that's landed some big shots in the first couple of rounds. Coovie, the former light heavyweight and cruiserweight champion. Gets another right hand home.
That's because George is not using that jab. What they should be telling him to do is jab at Cowie's chest. He's not going to miss him if he hits him on the chest, and he's going to knock him off balance where he can throw a couple of combinations.
And there's the jab you talked about.
Well, he just pushed it, though, Al. He's got to snap that jab.
Right hand by Coovie, and that woke up the crowd and woke up Foreman a little, but he doesn't back up. He keeps coming. Throws a bizarre right hand to the back of... Oh, there goes... Something hurt Coovie to the back of the head. Boy, it was very tough to see what that was. Something hurt him.
Well, Foreman just nailed him with a pretty good right hand.
You may be right, Gil. It was something to the kidneys that drove him out of the ring. He was holding the back of his head. It was not called a knockdown, apparently. There was no...
Well, the referee didn't give us any indication of what it was.
There was no 8 count.
So with Cowie on the deck, he should have at least gave us some kind of... And now Cowie is landing some pretty good short punches himself.
Uppercut hurt Cowie, but we've said that before, and he seems to come back. Foreman under the microscope, to be sure. People looking at what he has and what he doesn't have. In a bad spot for him in that corner. Lands some rights. Under a minute left to go in round 3. In a round in which both men have landed big shots just like the second round. Again the right by Cowie, a counter right. And that's probably why Cowie's still standing, because he's landed some big shots. There it is again, the right hand. Those are not tremendous punches, because as Gil said, they're not being delivered properly.
His big punch, his best punch is still that left jab, but he's not using it. Big left hook by Cowie.
Dwight Cowie doing what Guido Trane did so well, those overhand hooks and overhand rights, getting there. It's a close fight.
It certainly is, and George Foreman was just bouncing up and down like he's trying to feel his legs.
He used it very effectively in his fight with Rocky Sekorski and even the fight with Trane and in all the other ones. Not here, and Cowie gets in a left hand. Now, this has really slowed here. And what we saw in the Norris-Snipes fight could take place here. Two men very tired.
George's corner strategy is to rough Cowie to make him tired. I mean, why don't they just depend on fighting ability instead of seeing if we can tie it first?
Maybe we should skip right.
Good right hand counter by Cowie.
Good combinations by Dwight Cowie.
He's able to hold George off with one hand and throw that right hand with the other hand. Foreman better start punching.
There's the jab. Uppercut by Cowie. And so what has been landed in this round primarily has been landed by Cowie.
Landed left hook by Cowie.
Now he's taunting George just a bit.
Well, Foreman is going to have to start putting a little snap, especially the left jab.
There isn't much on George Foreman's punches right now.
And George is starting to gasp for air, Al.
Right hand by George Foreman that does very little damage to Cowie, or it appears. George looks disinterested, looking over at his corner. Lands the uppercut, not much there. For the cynics that didn't think George Foreman should be doing this, they're probably making their case right now because he's not looking good.
He still was able to go 15 rounds with a guy like an Evander Holyfield. He has abilities.
Oh, yes, he definitely does. There's no question about that. Now, he was hit with 3 good shots by Foreman. Gil, I don't know about you, but I have my answer. I think that Foreman is not going to knock him out with 1 punch. The former great light heavyweight champion.
One of the greatest, if not the greatest.
Who won the title, interestingly enough.
Good right hand by Coovie to start the round. And Jimmy Young let himself fall down a couple of times. He got the entire crowd on his side.
Can they go 10 rounds? Find out. They're in the 5th right now.
I think Coovie is really very tired now. He's letting it all hang out.
Well, presumably he's mad about some tactic that Foreman is using, and Foreman's used a few strange tactics, but he just walked away there.
Well, we mentioned before the fight that George is so big and strong. If he starts doing this pushing, it's going to make it look ridiculous. Hey, now George has got that left hand where he can nail it. He has to throw it.
Coovie missing with the hook. He's putting himself in punching range for Coovie. I guess he's clowning, I don't know, but getting hit with an occasional jab. George may sense Coovie wants to get out of there. I don't know.
Well, with George's punches, they're just clubbing punches. They're not, as you said, Al, they're not the kind of punches that can put the lights out with 1 punch. It has to be an accumulation.
We would have thought coming in that there was a chance he might be able to knock out Coovie with 1 punch, because Dwight hasn't faced a big heavyweight, but this is not the same George Foreman of 10 years ago. George is having a pretty good 5th round, however, from a scoring standpoint. Jabs by Coovie.
When Coovie leans over like that, what George should be just feint that jab and hook to the body, hit him with 2 body punches, and maybe he could get him out of there. He's not doing that.
There's very little body work by Foreman, but as you pointed out, there's not much of a target there.
They're all arm punches. No, his hips don't move at all when he throws a punch.
The jab by Foreman. It's been largely absent tonight.
I'm waiting for Coovie. There it is. I was waiting for Coovie to come up with that sneak left hook counter.
And he got the right hand after it. And the uppercut. And so Dwight Muhammad Coovie explodes a bit here in the 5th round. Foreman with his own uppercut, and things heat up. 49 knockouts in that span. Of course, the only 2 men he lost to, Muhammad Ali and Zaire African, and a decade ago, losing to the fancy boxing Jimmy Young. In the heat in, I believe, San Juan, Puerto Rico, correct?
San Juan, Puerto Rico, 100 degrees in the building.
You know about that heat.
Well, that was about as much snap as I've seen George have on a punch tonight. A little left hook.
He has not gotten leverage on his punches. He's landed some big ones, running the Coovie for low blows. Coovie landing a couple of good shots.
Coovie just relaxes, steps straight back, and George doesn't look to punch him. Time after time.
That tactic started when he did so effectively to Joe Frazier and pushed him off his rhythm. But in this instance, it seems that's not necessary. He could just stand back and punch, like that.
George is looking to find it. You can move your head all night, Al, but your body doesn't move. George be trying to throw some real bombs downstairs.
He's really not trying to hit the body of Coovie. He's landing in this round, no question about that. He's having a good 6th round.
And he got nailed.
Coovie lands a short right hand and a left hook. Another hook by Coovie. Foreman just pushes him off. But you have to start thinking decision here if this fight keeps going and start talking about who's landing more punches. Foreman's had a pretty good 6th round, but Coovie came with a couple of big shots.
Well, if this fight continues this way, I think we're going to see a very controversial decision.
It does have split decision written all over it. Right hand by Foreman, and that uppercut hurt. He faked him out. Wow. He faked out Foreman, then came back with a right hand. That was fascinating. I've never seen a fighter fake that much.
No, it looked like he was going down.
Wow. We've all seen Ali fake being hurt, but not quite in that posture. Gil, do you feel like everything is kind of in slow motion here?
Yes, I
certainly
do.
We're watching a fight as if you could stop it and use a still every 10 or 12 seconds. There's 22 seconds left in round 6, and that left hook did hurt him. That's a knockdown because, no, it isn't. It's should have been. He went against the ropes.
Against the ropes, right. That's correct.
That should have been a knockdown. Instead, Foreman stopped punching. Cowie got up.
This is going to be the key.
And if you're wondering, George Foreman, since he started his comeback in March of '87, has never gone to the 7th round.
Some blood on the front of Cowie's trunks, but I can't spot where he's bleeding from. He's so wide open for a left hook underneath, Cowie. I mean, if you feint that jab, you could just rip that hook under.
And you would think that would be something George Foreman would be using.
Well, somebody maybe has to tell him.
It's true.
And even then, what makes you think he'd pay attention, you know? Yeah.
The right hand gets there by Foreman. There's the uppercut, and that right hand pushes Cowie back. But before we have thought Cowie might be in real trouble, and he wasn't. Jab in the right hand by Foreman, and the jab helping to set things up. And as you said, Gil, it's something he should have used earlier.
He's got a great jab, but he just won't use it.
That was always the case, even in the old days.
Well, he's using it now. 5 consecutive good jabs, and then he went to the body.
Well, you said this would be a key round, and right now George Foreman is dominating.
That was the first good left hook to the body, which I think he can land all day.
And I'm not sure that didn't really hurt Cowie. I think Cowie wants to quit. That's it.
Well, as I said, Al, he had the will to get by this round, which he did not have.
Well, it's an unsatisfactory ending, to be sure, from all standpoints.
Look at some of those short. The end of there was that good left hook underneath. I think that took all the rest of the fight out of Dwight Cowie. I had been mentioning that he was wide open for that punch, and he's just brutalizing him now. Nothing great, no big snap, but the punches are there, and I guess Cowie knew he was out of gas, and that was the end of the fight.
The winner by a TKO, former heavyweight champion George Foreman.
In the dressing room, I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
Hoping to extend his winning streak to 72-3 with 66 knockouts over Pierre Coetzer, certainly a formidable opponent.
Against Riddick Bowe, and he's got the ability to withstand punches and keep coming.
Coetzer is going to establish that in-your-face kind of attack, and he has to do that against a larger and more powerful George Foreman.
He's circling and he's busy.
Be the busier of the two. Certainly he's the lighter of the two as he tries to score with left jabs and overhand rights.
Upper arms.
George Foreman known for a huge right hand. Is he going to look to deliver that early on, or?
He hits with both hands. He's got that short clubbing left hand.
Early on in the first round, Pierre stalking his opponent, but not doing any damage early on. He'll throw his left out there and hope, of course, for that huge right hand.
Jab is scoring well. A little blood on the bridge of Coetzer's nose.
Go flick the head back of Pierre Coetzer.
He pounds that jab. At the beginning of his comeback, George was able to throw the jab as he did in the old days. A lot of other things about his style. That jab is still a pounding, piston-like machinery.
Blood continued to trickle out of the bridge of the nose of Pierre Coetzer. Foreman does damage early on. Pierre Coetzer, to his credit, continues to stay busy. Promoters' hope is that George Foreman will dispatch Pierre Coetzer, and Tommy Morrison and Foreman will fight later in the year.
Yeah, they're looking to April 16th at Caesar's Palace. That's the
Early on, talking with Larry Merchant, I asked him...
Foreman is going to physically fade at all, whether he's in good enough condition to keep administering this kind of pounding.
I know many people, be they Foreman fans or otherwise, would like to see Foreman come out and say, hey, I'm still in it for the money. But at what point does a guy that seems to have all the money that he needs to sustain his family, probably many families,
And as the #1 IBF, eventually it'll come. His mandatory term will come. As far as marquee attractions, Foreman is kind of it for the two champions.
George Foreman at the age of 44, a stunning success story in terms of his comeback trail, and the unthinkable, certainly the miraculous, when he had Holyfield seemingly in trouble. Foreman lost by a decision, but he continues with his quest.
Damage to turn this fight around. Unless we see George physically wilt soon. Yeah, that's a powerful punch. It was a powerful punch when he was a young 220-pound svelte guy. And,
beginning of round number 3 at the Reno Sparks Convention Center, the heavyweight card tonight between George Foreman and Pierre Coetzer. Same impact as a George Foreman jab.
It's not at all the kind of mosquito punches, you know, annoying, busy, but they haven't changed the...
Right hand, Pierre Coetzer seems to be bothering George Foreman somewhat.
I see Foreman just continue to pound him. No problems. There was a good shot by Coetzer.
Foreman continues to stalk, throwing. About Pierre Coetzer, he seemed to think that the Bowe fight came too soon, or the Bruno fight came too soon after the Bowe fight.
The same way. And he's certainly doing nothing here to indicate that he can damage Foreman. Foreman seems to feel very much in control.
George Foreman, with that strength, with that wisdom of the ages, if you will, being a 44-year-old heavyweight that's ranked number 1 by the IBF. Wait. And here he continues to allow the punches by Pierre Coetzer to at least land, but certainly not do any damage, and then moves in for his own destruction.
Cool, methodical, very much in control so far.
Pierre Coetzer throwing a strong overhand right and a crisp left, but having no effect on George Foreman as we come to the end.
One of his assets as an attraction is that he's able to give, by virtue of those 2 defeats, solid defeats, so to speak, he's here tonight to make a payday.
And he keeps coming back at George Foreman. He's not content to stay back without getting in there and mixing it up.
He's there to fight.
George Foreman continues to stalk Pierre Coetzer.
Ooh, that was a good left hook.
Wrong left and a right following up, sending Pierre Coetzer to the mat. George Foreman stalking his man and waiting for the opportunity that came in a lightning flash.
A lot of good shots on Coetzer's body.
Let's take a look at that stinging left from George Foreman. Pierre Coetzer's response was something in the arena of delayed reaction, I think.
Yeah, well, it was the left that did it, and he followed through with the right, but he was on his way down by then.
George Foreman, very calm, very cool, very collected, continues to stalk Pierre Coetzer, continues to wade in, throwing
good shots to the body, good shots to the body.
Right to Pierre Coetzer.
Very impressive the way he's making every punch count.
Huge left and right. There's another left jab. Coetzer very game, throws a left to the head of George Foreman, and he flicks them away and then comes in for his own damage. Scheduled 10 rounds. Bill, you've got to admire the staying power of this Pierre Coetzer.
Right. George just turned to referee Cortez and got hit in the bargain as Coetzer threw a right hand.
Pierre Coetzer staying in there, fighter.
You know,
George Foreman continues to unload heavy right and left shots to the head of Pierre Coetzer, and this man continues to stay on his feet.
Whether George would just like the fight to end quickly, or it's the compassionate heart of a veteran fighter on the receiving end now. There doesn't seem to be an awful lot left.
Well, we'll be coming to the end of round number 4. It's scheduled to go 10 rounds here at the Reno Sparks Convention Center. And this capacity crowd. Round fight, Foreman in the red with white trim, Coetzer in the blue with white trim.
Very much within himself.
Very conservative, I would say.
Absolutely.
have to ask the question, Phil, and that is after the pummeling that Foreman took at the hands of Alex Stewart, do you think that took something off of his fighting edge?
This comeback.
Left jab from Foreman, walks ahead of Pierre Coetzer, and another left jab. Another left jab, another left jab. All finding their mark and all having effect. We're in the 5th round of a scheduled 10-round fight. It's a heavyweight fight between George Foreman and Pierre Coetzer. Control of the bout. He's scheduled to fight Tommy Morrison, who earlier defeated Carl Williams.
Good shots by Foreman. Went to the body first, opened them up, and then rammed those rights and lefts to the head.
Blood continues to stream down the bridge of the nose of Pierre Coetzer.
Onto Foreman's chest.
Foreman stalking, looking for that opening, knowing that he's got his man weakened and looking somewhat tired.
A little bit, yes.
Elbow with an elbow.
Seemingly playing a background role in this fight. He's not as active, certainly, as a more pugnacious Mills Lane.
Team Holyfield about the way he handled that fight. I felt that he was letting Bo get away with a lot of hitting on the break.
Pierre Coetzer continues to flick out those left jabs. They are having some effect on George Foreman as he's showing puffiness behind his eyes.
So control belongs off to Foreman still. That really hasn't changed. He's just pounding away, using the left to orchestrate, and then, yes, the world is ruled by the IBF and WBA.
And Pierre Coetzer seems
good uppercut,
to be able to withstand a Riddick Bowe, although he was decimated by Bowe. He seems to be handling himself pretty well against George Foreman.
Given his age and how he fought against Alex Stewart, far more intriguing, far better performance.
George Foreman now going on the offensive against Pierre Coetzer, finding an opening, seemingly a fatigued Pierre Coetzer, who gamely comes back.
You know, I said that I've been busy doing commercials. I was in LA a couple of weeks ago when he shot the pilot of a sitcom that Tony Danza is co-producing.
Foreman seemingly having Coetzer in the corner and not able to corner him and keep him there and inflict damage. But
amazing that he's able to stay so focused and fight within himself tonight, given that he's been distracted and had other things on his agenda. He had that problem against Alex Stewart where he seemed to fade and had a rally to win that.
And George certainly does not stay away from his game plan, which is
very much able to withstand punishment. There was a good right by Coetzer.
Coetzer coming back very gamely.
You said blood around the nose and the eye, right eye.
He's able to keep on with his onslaught. He's very game. He's not shy in any way with George Foreman. Right shot from George Foreman. He's back into his dance and he's got his guard.
What kind of fighter both is. He hasn't had the head rally shots by Foreman. Hasn't had the kind of competition. I'd be inclined to go with Coetzer.
Tops of his toes. And wades in and try to do some damage on George Foreman.
They threw a good left-right combination.
Left eye of George Foreman. George Foreman continues to swell somewhat earlier than his previous fights.
I see some blood on Foreman's face, but I believe that's Coetzer's blood.
Looks like round number one. Foreman comes out to the center ring, beginning to stalk his opponent. Bill, right now, the 8th round, is Foreman looking for a knockout? Is he just looking to come away with a decision?
He still seems to be fighting within himself, not
scoring easily there.
Very powerful jabs. Dancing master by any stretch of the imagination. He's a capable athlete, capable fighter. Doesn't appear to have the overpowering strength.
There's some strong left-right combination by George Foreman that buckles Pierre Coetzer, and a right sends the South African to the canvas.
5, 6,
have over a minute left in round number 8.
Take a look at the ending.
There's a left-right combination, and Pierre Coetzer, stunned, goes to his knees. His legs buckle, he turns away,
Kind of looks
goes
like
to his knees.
kind of looks like Western movies, that dramatic death.
And as you can see, the bridge of the nose continues to bleed freely.
I think he'll be hitting the aspirins pretty good when he gets back to his hotel room. Took a pounding tonight.
George Foreman has sent Pierre Coetzer to the canvas.
Second time in the fight that he scored a knockdown.
He wades in now with uppercuts that seem to take their toll. And Joe Cortez takes a cue and stops the fight.
In round number 8, the winner by TKO, the former heavyweight champion of the world, Big George Foreman.
All right, Michael, George, we went over the rules in the dressing room. Obey my commands at all time. Give me a good, clean fight. And bear one thing in mind. I'm the boss man in here. Shake hands, good luck.
A little bit more for Broke in this bout. Foreman very calm, one of the most relaxed fighters you will ever see in boxing.
You remember, they weighed in 2 days early for this fight. They weighed in on Thursday afternoon.
Range of Foreman. And it would be interesting to see if Foreman tries to use the push-it-off technique that he's been successful with in the past.
Have his arms crossed. Moore is establishing the jab, and as you said, fighting on the inside, looking just to double up on that jab and then come in with that great left of his.
And Moore right in front of him, where hardly anybody expected him to be.
George looks very tentative and very slow.
Trying to keep Moore away. They're just using. There's the first right hand by Foreman and followed a left jab. Moore has been knocked down 4 times in his career, but has always gotten up.
And got to see that round. It's a 10-10 round in spite of the fact that Moore was on the floor.
There's again the left-right combination by Foreman, but that George's punch is very slow so far. Bell ends round 1.
Foreman through. The only punch of really effectiveness that Foreman was able to land with in the first round. And showing some motion now.
Michael Moore going out trying to obey the commands of Teddy Atlas, whom he has a lot of belief in and a lot of respect for. He went through trainers before now.
Went through some real changes during that period of time. George starting to find the range now.
Moore had a slight smile on his face. Foreman not expending a lot of energy.
Notoriously fast in the first rounds. If you remember the first round even of the Jerry Cooney fight.
Right, he was hurt in that fight. In fact, he wobbled near the end of that first round. But
is Michael capable of hurting him? Remember, George has only been knocked out once in his entire career. A fellow by the name of Ali.
On the night that George Foreman turned professional. Now Moore coming on, getting his jab home and following it up with a left cross. Moore working the jab, fighting carefully, moving a little bit, sliding some. There's that jab again from Moore.
See, George has eaten a lot of jabs, though, Rich, and he's going to get puffed up. He's got that habit now where that face gets puffy like it did in the Alex Stewart fight.
Moore fighting very effectively now, utilizing the jab. There it is again, doubling up on it. Uppercut by Moore, in close.
The only thing I don't like about what Moore is doing
Good right
now,
hand by Foreman, knocks Moore back a step or 2. George's most effective punch so far, and here comes Moore answering back quickly.
And I was about to say, Rich, I don't like the fact that Moore was only circling in one direction, and George is just going to time him, and there it was.
Both fighters had their moments in that second round. Who'd you give that second round to?
I still thought Moore won the round, but I thought George was coming on quite well.
Two good jabs by Foreman, but the follow-up right was not there.
Nor the traditional push-off. He didn't move in on that second jab either, which is why he missed with the right. If you're going to double, good right hand by Moore. If you're going to double up on the jab, you got to move in on the second one if you're going to land with the right.
Moore picking up some momentum now, avoiding the punches of Foreman and coming forward and landing. And there he landed a good right hand to the belly. Good round so far here in the third for Michael Moer. It is amazing, but it does look like George wasn't turning down any burgers in the last 2 days. There's a good cracking right hand from George Foreman, but Moer, sharp right hand.
And Teddy Atlas very nervous that Moer is fighting in this close, Rich.
Again, combination from Foreman, but Moer always answers right back. There's a good right by Moer.
George is hurt and holds on for the first time in the fight. Should be throughout the round. Moer with his straight right. Big article in one of the New York papers that was prophesizing that George was going to try a rope-a-dope type of situation here with Moer, and nothing could be further from the truth. But he's not even fighting a typical George style at this point, and a good body shot by Moer.
Now the fight has been fought at ring center. Foreman now trying to keep Moer away with the jab. Just push from there, he follows up with the right hand. Moer answers back. Moer doing a great job of every time Foreman lands something significant, Moer comes back with 2 or 3 of his own. Good jabs, now combination by Moer, drives Foreman back into the ropes. Rally by Moer to close out the round.
To your right.
That was a pretty big third round, though, for Michael Moer. Not easy to jab a left-hander. He's got that glove right out in front of you.
Well,
there's the right hand from Foreman. Interestingly enough, in watching the tape of the first of the Holyfield-Moer fight, Foreman was a commentator. Up style would be very successful against Moer, but he hasn't used the cross.
And yet he's not using it. He's not throwing enough right-hand leads. Camp was a fighter by the name of Matthew Brooks, who's really a blown-up light heavyweight.
Left hook to the body by
George
Foreman.
has nothing, Rich. Very sluggish.
Well, did you think he'd be a little sharper than this? But he hasn't fought for 17 months, but he comes there with a combination. Trying to come up the middle with that right uppercut. That's the punch that Angelo Dundee said would be successful with Moer. He felt that coming up the middle with uppercuts, and Foreman does come up the middle well, would be successful in this fight.
Well, Michael's certainly in close enough for George to try to attempt to throw that.
Moer fighting a controlled fight.
I expected Moer to be fighting much more on the outside, personally. I thought he'd be jabbing. He's much more aggressive in this fight than he was against Evander Holyfield.
Moer appears supremely confident.
And
He's willing to stand right there in front of George Foreman. Foreman, they're trying to push Moer off.
It's sort of like, okay, I don't know if that's, whoa!
Nice jab by Moer. Almost leaped in with it, but he really snapped it. Another good jab by Michael Moer. Really putting that jab to work.
Or the lack of them.
Moer's punches are landing cleanly.
He's got to be...
Good body shot from Foreman.
But he's probably out punching George at this point 10-1, and he's landing the amount of his shots.
George trying to outstrength Moer here now.
Is George suckering him in and giving him a false sense of security, and he's just going to land one big bomb somewhere in there, which he never expected Moer to be fighting in this close.
Moer's reflexes, those of a 26-year-old man, remember, do not measure reflexes.
Probably the biggest unknown factor is what this 18-month layoff was going to do. He lost his last fight off he's had at any active part of his career, period. And at 40, almost 46 years of age, unless he's saving something, Rich, there's nothing there.
The key words there, of course, was active part of his career, because he did 7 through 87. Stayed out of boxing, ballooned up to 320, 350 pounds. There's a good left hand by Foreman. And now Foreman coming forward and moving Moer back a little.
Good right hand lead he landed on Moer's face there.
Foreman having some success here and getting the crowd interested again.
The only other long layoff he ever had.
Foreman doing a little bit better work. Now Moer coming back at the end of the round, landing a stiff jab as the round comes to an end. A little bit better round for George Foreman.
Michael started throwing his own left-hand leads of his own.
Try to emulate to some degree what Tommy Morrison did, which was to use some lateral movement, box, move around the ring, but that is not
guaranteed it, Rich. This fight is not the picture that you would have painted in advance. See, George doesn't move in, though, on the second. He doubled up on the jab, but he's not moving in on the second jab, so he can't land the right effectively.
Foreman has thrown and landed tonight very well. Has not been rattled yet. There's a good right hand from George Foreman. But again, Moer answers right back. Collective mouth before he answers back.
Yeah, I mean, very partisan Foreman crowd, but a lot of respect at this point coming over to Moer.
Good jab again from Moer. And again, boy, that's nice work with that right hand from Moer. Foreman still dangerous.
Two
lands a right hand. George ran into an uppercut, though, on the way in and trying to follow up.
Moer took two really good right-hand leads from Foreman and came back and was able to fire on his own.
George trying to follow up. But Moer very dangerous in front of him. Right hand from Foreman again, partially blocked by Moer.
You got a question at this point, is Foreman's punch totally gone, or does Michael Moer have a better chin than we all gave him credit for?
Now here comes Moer back, crowd roaring.
A light puncher. And Bigfoot Martin, you got to think that George's punch has finally left him at almost 46 years of age, Rich.
Right hand by Moer over the outstretched arm of Foreman. Now Moer goes back to the jab, which was effective for him early in the round. Again, the right hand from Foreman. He's landed numerous times in this round with a right hand. Much more encouraging showing by Foreman in this round. Oh, but a hard, snapping left hand from Michael Moer.
Michael's going to continue on in close.
Now Moer again with that stiff jab and battle of the chance from
Moer's jabs. He's putting it out there to catch it and try to parry it with an open hand, and it's not doing anything for him.
Punch by Michael Moer. Good right to the belly by George Foreman. 93, 22 months ago when he stopped Pierre Coetzer in 8 rounds in a fight in Reno. There's a nice combination from Foreman.
And that was coming off a fight that many people thought he had lost Alex Stewart just prior to that.
Use the old pushing strategy.
But what's happening is once he's getting in on the inside, he's not doing anything. He's not using his weight advantage or his strength to try to muscle Moer down. Even leaning on him would be something at this point.
And consequently, referee Joe Cortez has had very little to do in this fight so far. Leaping in with the right hand, but Foreman got his head in front of it.
And he's able to leap in and leap out before George can react. No ability right now to react to Moer when Moer comes on the inside.
Good jabs again by Moer, who's dominating this round. And now you see the left eye of Foreman beginning to get pretty puffy underneath. He's eaten a lot of jabs on that side.
Martin, Bert Cooper, Evander Holyfield. It has to make you wonder, is it that all of a sudden Michael's got a great chin, or has George finally lost that fame?
To go now. He possibly already is in a position of needing some real drama. There's a right hand that forced Moer to give ground. And he backs Moer into the ropes. Now wait to see if Moer here answers back. Good right uppercut from Foreman. You
George
saw
is one of
Moer
the great finishers.
Saw Moer give ground, and he backed into the ropes, and then Foreman was able to also come up with an uppercut.
Whoa!
Foreman waddled across the ring. Looked like he tripped a little, though.
More to finish a fighter. He should have been all over Michael Moer then. Throwing 3, 4, 5-punch combination.
Terrifying punch in heavyweight history.
Lifted Joe Frazier off the ground.
Good combination from Moer. It enjoyed a big opening portion of the round, so this perhaps might go according to that script. Now Moer appears to have things back in control once again.
George has got to let that right go. He's there. Moer is there for him to throw to right.
Big exchange, combination from Moer. Round 8 comes to a close.
Knock out George or not. Building up a nice lead here. Don't get careless. And so far he's listening to Teddy.
Good right hand by Moer and follows it up with an uppercut. Sits.
On a skill level, you got to say he improved 200%. He didn't have a devastating jab as a light heavyweight.
To land an effective blow through the first minute and a half.
Now he's got a little bit of what, if you would have tried to choreograph the fight in advance, this is a little bit more of what you expected. He's got George chasing him. He's moving to his right.
Foreman almost squared right up to him. Just talked about him developing. Obviously his confidence has been built to the point where he's...
He's gotten up off the floor from heavyweight punches. He's got greatly developed boxing skills.
Remains a great mystery to many boxing fans. He probably has a lower profile than any heavyweight champion that I can recall. Right hand to the body by Foreman as the round comes to an end. Argument for George for one round there, or two perhaps, but where they were fairly close. But obviously he is well behind and he's got to pick it up. Betting windows to bet on him, driving the odds down, much the way that the odds were driven down in this fight when they saw Foreman look in reasonable shape. And now George, following the advice of Angelo Dundee, is coming in round number 10. Looking to land that right. There's a left hook that he finally landed tonight. You know, that's a tremendous punch for George when he can land it, but it hasn't been there.
Take the time, though, to work on something else that would work against the southpaw as some other challenger might do. He just figured it's another fighter, left-handed, right-handed. This is the way I fight. And like you said,
there's the left hook from Foreman. That one rattled Moer a little bit. And another punch from Foreman and another left hook. Has felt the power of Foreman. What power is left even in round 10 of a fight in which he is desperately behind. And well, Teddy Atlas concerned in the corner.
So George had to adapt, and there he goes. He's walking into the left hook.
George Foreman enjoying his best round of the fight here in round 10. There's a right hand. Down goes Moer. He's flat on his back. He may not get up.
Maybe he's not moving.
Moer could be about to lose the heavyweight title.
I don't believe this.
Joe Cortez pulls off the count. It is over.
Holy
George
cow.
Foreman has pulled off the miracle that no one thought possible. George Foreman, unbelievably, miraculously, is once again the heavyweight champion of the world. Now let's take a look at the replay.
Watch for the beautiful left hook, right hand combination. He walked right into the left hook, followed by the right. Teddy Atlas kept saying to him, move only to your right. George adapted by Moer only moving to his right, which now finally allowed George to start landing the left hook, which we didn't see for the first 8 rounds. Moer out cold.
You asked several times during the fight if Foreman's punch deserted him. It turned out not to be the case. There's that right hand going in on Moer. Down goes Moer. And Arnie, I think we could all tell that as soon as he hit the canvas, he was done. It was over.
The experts said coming into this fight that if Foreman hit Moer the way he was hit by Bert Cooper, that he would not get up.
And the winner, and once again, heavyweight champion of the world, Big George Foreman.
Performing as a comedian even when he's introduced. Here we go into the first round. Foreman at 256. That's a pound less than he weighed when he fought Evander Holyfield. Yet 6 pounds more than he weighed against Moer last November. He's not known, however, for a lot of lateral movement. He's not a great jabber, but he'll come at you and try to throw punches. Foreman is always plodding, painfully slow, but carrying unbelievable power. And they're an example of George's amazing strength. He has never been down as an amateur or a pro. Schulz. As you can see, that's not a jab, really. That backing away now is Axel, and Foreman digs a right hand to the body. Foreman a huge favorite in this fight, 7-1 favorite. But there have been underdogs that big who have won the title before, and a nice right hand by Schulz. Foreman wild with the right hand, almost amateurish. There's that long tree-like left jab of Foreman, one of the great jabs in boxing history. Schulz fighting well so far, but Foreman pounding the left hand to the body. That's the trouble facing Schulz, getting through to the bigger man, George Foreman. There's that right hand of the body. George pounding on that body here in the first round. Good little combination by Axel Schulz is round number 1. Let's see if Foreman tries to pick it up a little in this round, especially with that jab, and get that to work. Most of round 1 he spent trying to attack to the body, both sides of the body of Axel Schulz, who now is showing movement. Much the way Tommy Morrison did in his successful fight against Foreman, frustrating Foreman that night by basically dancing and staying away from George. Although Angelo Dundee wants jabs from Foreman, he doesn't want him reaching and lunging for him. There, the jab beginning to get to work for Big George. That must look like some giant tree trunk coming at you. You're the opponent of George Foreman. Schulz sneaks in a right. Schmeling, who of course won it, and Carl Mildenberger, who in 1966 attempted to wrest the title from Muhammad Ali, but chopping left uppercut inside from Foreman. Mildenberger fought well before being stopped by Ali in 12 rounds. Foreman getting more serious, left hand by George. Foreman, I believe most people at this point have come to agree, is probably the most terrifying puncher in boxing history. Right hand by Foreman, and Schulz counters. Jab has been a good weapon for Foreman in this round. Schulz is tough, though, and firing back. Nice left jab by Foreman. Better round for Foreman here in the second round. He's really gotten his jab to much, much better work. Right uppercut by Foreman inside as Schulz. Wilfried de Sauerland, the manager of Axel Schulz. Very calm in the corner. There's that left jab again. You cannot stand in front of George Foreman and hope to survive, really. And Schulz is trying to utilize some movement here in round 3. Cassius Clay was 7-1 when he fought and defeated Sonny Liston. Jimmy Braddock, Leon Spinks reached 15-1 when they won their titles. And of course, Buster Douglas with the big one, the grand upset of all time, 42-1 underdog when he fought.
Come on, work out of there, come on.
Foreman was already enormously popular in the United States, but after that win over Michael Moore, it went way over the top. Gripping right uppercut from Foreman, and then he pushes Schulz away in the manner he did Joe Frazier in 1973. Digging right hand to the body by Foreman.
Come on, get him out.
Referee is Joe Cortez, who is the man who told 10 over Michael Moore when Foreman fought him here. Well, Foreman wanted to throw and couldn't get the punch off, and Schulz answers back. Those openings you saw earlier in your career, you don't launch the same punches. Right hand to the body by Foreman. He's done a nice job on the body of Schulz in this fight. Schulz looking for an opening. They're trying to come across with the right hand, but it's hard to reach George with those kind of punches. Now Schulz back on the move. Schulz's fans come alive again here in the arena. Nice right hand by Schulz. Foreman tried to counter, but Schulz got much the better of that exchange. In the corner of Foreman, seemed to think that everything was going according to form. Foreman tries that ripping left hook to the body. He is not highly ranked. Everyone knows that. In fact, it cost Foreman a WBA title, although not the IBF. And as we mentioned, of course, if you're going for recognition by the people, Foreman is it. Nice right hand by Axel Schulz, showing some quickness there, leaped in with a left hand. Right hand to the body by Foreman and a left hand to the body by Big George. Now concentrating on the body, trying to take the wind away from the challenger Schulz, who answers back with a couple of jabs. Axel Schulz went to visit Max Schmeling a few weeks ago to talk about this fight, to get some tips. This is the first round, really, that Axel Schulz has tried to jab Foreman. Schulz getting bold. But Schulz may be boxing better than many thought coming in. Nice combination from Axel Schulz. Axel Schulz gave them something else to think about in round 4. He's in there and he's trying to annex the title from George Foreman. Hasn't been anything close to a knockdown so far. Schulz had his best round in the 4th round. Angelo Dundee wants more jabs from Foreman, and that's the way he starts here in round 5. That's a good jab from Foreman. George has the jab working better tonight than it did against Michael Moer last November. Good right uppercut from Foreman. Schulz answers back with a right of Schulz, and possibly could start bleeding into the eye later in the round. Foreman really ripping the jabs here in round 5. Schulz would try to emulate what Tommy Morrison did against Foreman. I wouldn't say he's gone to the extent that Morrison did. Morrison really was dancing around the ring, but Schulz is showing far more movement than anyone thought. He said he thought Morrison danced too much, Schulz speaking, that Morrison expended too much energy doing that. Quick right hand from Axel Schulz. Foreman just trying to continue to pound away. Let the cumulative come to the fore. Inside the final minute of round 5, the Axel Schulz chant goes up from the German fans here in attendance. Right hand from Foreman after a Schulz right. That one hurt Schulz. Schulz in a little bit of difficulty here, comes up and holds Foreman. Foreman fires the jab. Right uppercut from Big George. Foreman may be a little frustrated, but appeared somewhat angry in that between rounds period, and comes out firing it. Good right hand to the body by Big George. Turned pro in '69. Won the title in '73. Then, of course, lost it to Muhammad Ali in '74, and then 20 years, almost to the day after losing it to Ali, he regained the championship once again with that victory over Michael Moer. Foreman still very good controlled round by George Foreman here so far in this 6th. And here come the Schulz fans with their own chant. Interesting crowd mix here tonight. Foreman's face not nearly as puffy as it was against Michael Moer last November. Well, Axel Schulz certainly up for his opportunity of a lifetime. Back in the move once again. When Schulz gets close to Foreman, he throws a roundhouse right to the body. Hits the left side of the body of Axel Schulz. What Schulz likes to do is try to get in close, like right here, and then throw sneak right hands. On a couple of occasions, it has served him well. That right hand by Foreman was powerful, but most of the punch taken on the shoulder by Schulz, who lands a very good right of his own.
Get him out. Come on, your head's free.
Foreman in his fight with Moer last year, even though he would lose rounds, and many of those rounds would have his moments and would land big punches with Moer, but Moer, that right missed, but that one didn't.
1 minute into the 7th round. And then has served as a sparring partner for Schulz for the last 4 weeks. Foreman in recent fights, remember, has had a tendency to puff up around the eyes. We saw that dramatically in the fight with Stewart, and then in the fight also with Moer. His face was a puffy mass. Here's Schulz with the right hand, Foreman back with the jab, but now George beginning to show some signs of puffiness in this fight as well. Take a look around his eyes. See a bruise under the right eye now that's blowing up underneath the eye. Foreman digging that body punch. Left hook by Foreman. Again, that right of Schulz is quick and having some success. Foreman plodding forward, getting the jab off every now and then, but Schulz very busy and finishing up the round very big here in the final seconds of round 7. Bruising also under the right eye, but Dundee was paying attention mostly to the left eye of Foreman between rounds. And Dundee, very angry, was yelling at Joe Cortez, the referee, between rounds. Good jab from Foreman. There those heads come close together once again. That's when he needs to throw that jab again. Big George weighing 256 pounds tonight. He is not the heaviest man ever to fight for the title. Primo Carnera was, but several times more than that. Oh, good right uppercut from Foreman. As Schulz leans in, Foreman finds him open for that uppercut. Here he comes in with head first once again, though. But Schulz displaying the good chin we heard about. Foreman lining him up with the jab. And Schulz trying to throw punches inside. And there's some jabbing from Schulz. Nice uppercut from Foreman. Now that one lifted Foreman's foot right up off the canvas. This fight has stretched further than Cortez has been fairly busy tonight. Schulz unloading, Foreman trying to back him off. Schulz trying to steal the round. Good 1-2 from Foreman. Full vision, it looks like, out of that left eye, despite the knot there. We are in round 9. And all the predictors of a 1 or 2 round knockout have long since seen their predictions go down the drain.
Come on, get him on, come on.
Foreman ripping the jab. Schulz back in the move once again. There it is again. That right by Schulz was partially blocked by Foreman. Schulz trying to be active, but every time he does, that left jab comes pounding back into his nose. Foreman's uppercut has been a great weapon for him throughout his career. Same thing happened to Jerry Cooney when he fought Foreman. Too much of an uppercut. Again, Schulz hitting as the two break out with the right hand. Three judges score the fight here. Referee has no vote in the scoring. The judges are Dalby Shirley and Stewart Winston of the United States and Hector Vilches of Mexico. That was a rare 1-2 attempt by Foreman. Oh, a good right hand by Schulz. In addition to Schulz's great chin, we should point out, of course, that George Foreman has a magnificent chin as well. He's a hard man to hurt. Vision probably beginning to get affected now. That knot high above the eye is closing, clamping down on the eye now. But this is a man who came here to fight. There's that right uppercut by Foreman again. Schulz at times walks right into it, but then he stays close to Foreman, and that's when he does his best work with the right. And Foreman again complaining about the headbutts of Axel Schulz. To exchange punches, right by Schulz, the left by Foreman. Nice uppercut inside by Schulz, and then Foreman answering back with the left to Michael Moer in. When he was miles behind on points. Someone's leading the Axel Schulz cheers with an air horn here in the arena. Axel Schulz, a 7-1 underdog, remember, coming into this fight. And 45 seconds here in round 10. Here he is, still standing and still throwing punches. Foreman rips a left, and Schulz answers right back. This kid is tough. George still has that great power. That has never left him. Reflexes, of course, not what they once were. Out of shape looking. He looks very soft, and of course there's the roll of flab around the middle. But George is in condition to fight 12 rounds. As you could see between rounds, he was hardly drawing a deep breath. He knows how to pace himself here late in his career. And he trains, when he does train, George, and goes to training for a fight, he trains very hard. And will often fight several rounds in a row with just 30 seconds rest. And now the two are exchanging punches as Schulz grows increasingly confident. That could be a mistake. Foreman still pounding the body, looking for that uppercut. 1 minute into round 11. Strong right hand from George Foreman. Oh, there's that 1-2 by Foreman. And Schulz has eaten a lot of those left jabs. Left hook from Foreman at long range. We don't see that very often. Usually he's throwing the jab from out there. Foreman enjoying a good 11th round. Ooh, look at that uppercut. George just walked in, planted himself, and threw it. Right hand by Foreman. Some of the fans here in the arena taking up a USA chant now to counteract the German fans in attendance. Foreman would like to finish Axel Schulz off. He does not want to see this fight go to the judges. Half a minute to go in the 11th round. Ripping right hand from Axel Schulz. We're seeing a major league display of heart from the challenger here this evening. Schulz fires back. And it is Schulz here in the final 30 seconds of the round after Foreman had dominated the earlier portion. Than anyone could have expected as a 7-1 underdog, trying to annex the heavyweight championship of the world from George Foreman. His fans have been roaring in the last few rounds as Schulz has gotten better and better. Good right hand in close from Foreman. 2 minutes to go in the fight. Good right hand from Axel Schulz. Foreman marches forward, throwing the jab. Georgia, would appear, still has plenty of power in those punches. Schulz has just been so willing. Hitting on the break is Axel Schulz, and a big flurry of punches from Axel Schulz. George steals a look at the clock. Left hand from Foreman. Schulz appeared to be hurt badly in the early portion of round 11, but came on big at the end of the round. Axel Schulz fighting the fight of his life against one of the legends of sport, George Foreman. And Schulz is closing strong. Half a minute to go in the fight. Foreman runs into a right. Because this has been a terrific 12 rounds of boxing. Axel Schulz and George Foreman, what a fight!
For the winner by majority decision and